The respiratory system is a highly important system of our body that helps in breathing and gaseous exchange. This system takes in oxygen from the outside air and delivers it to the blood, and then through the blood, this oxygen reaches every single cell of ours. Our cells use this oxygen to produce energy, and in this process, carbon dioxide is also released. This carbon dioxide is of no use to us, so our respiratory system continuously releases it out of the body. This entire process is called respiration. We divide the respiratory system into two parts, the upper respiratory tract and the lower respiratory tract. The upper respiratory tract includes the nose, pharynx, and larynx, while the lower respiratory tract includes the trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, and lungs. We will understand all these parts of the respiratory system one by one in detail from top to bottom, meaning from the nose down to the lungs. Nose. The very first organ is the nose. Air first enters through the two openings of the nose, which are called nostrils. The wall separating these two nostrils is called the nasal septum. The nasal septum is made of cartilage at the front and bone at the back. From the nostrils, air goes inside into a large space called the nasal cavity. The nasal cavity is a hollow space located inside the skull. The inner lining of the nasal cavity is called mucosa. This mucosa contains two things, cilia and mucus. Cilia are tiny hair-like structures, and mucus is a sticky material. Together, these two trap dust particles and bacteria present in the air so they don't enter our body. There are also many small blood vessels in the nasal cavity. These blood vessels warm the cold air coming from outside up to body temperature. Along with this, mucus adds moisture to the air. This process is called humidification. Around the nasal cavity, there are air-filled spaces in the skull bones called paranasal sinuses. There are 4 of these in total, present in pairs. Their names are frontal, maxillary, ethmoid, and sphenoid sinuses. These sinuses give resonance to the voice and keep the weight of the skull light. At the back of the nasal cavity, there is an opening called choanae. From here, air enters the pharynx. Pharynx. From the nasal cavity, air goes into the pharynx. The pharynx is a muscular tube that is approximately 12 to 13 centimeters long. It extends from the back of the nose down to the larynx. The pharynx has 3 parts. The first part is the nasopharynx. This is the topmost part of the pharynx, located directly behind the nasal cavity. In its side walls, there are openings of the eustachian tubes that connect the middle ear to the pharynx. The nasopharynx is only for air. Food does not pass through here. The second part is the oropharynx. This is the part behind the mouth. Both air and food pass through here. The tonsils are located in this part. The third part is the laryngopharynx. This is the lowest part of the pharynx. Here, the pathway splits into 2 parts. One pathway goes toward the larynx, which is the airway, and the other pathway goes toward the esophagus, which is the food passage. Larynx. From the laryngopharynx, air enters the larynx. The larynx is a rigid structure made up of multiple cartilages. It is located on the anterior, meaning front, side of the neck, and is at the level of the C3 to C6 vertebrae. The largest cartilage of the larynx is the thyroid cartilage. This is the structure that appears as a prominent bulge at the front of the neck, which we commonly call the Adam's apple. Below the thyroid cartilage is the cricoid cartilage. It is shaped like a complete ring and forms the base of the larynx. Inside the larynx, there are 2 folds called vocal cords or vocal folds. When air passes between these folds, they vibrate and sound is produced. The space between the vocal cords is called the glottis. Right above the larynx, there is a leaf-shaped cartilage called the epiglottis. When we eat food, the epiglottis moves down and closes the opening of the larynx so that food or water does not accidentally enter the airway. In contrast, when we just breathe, the epiglottis stays up, keeping the airway, meaning the breathing tube, open. The structures of the upper respiratory tract are complete up to this point. Now, the next structure is the trachea, which is part of the lower respiratory tract. Trachea. From the larynx, air goes straight into the trachea. The trachea is also commonly called the windpipe. It is a hollow cylindrical tube that is approximately 10 to 12 centimeters long, with a diameter of roughly 2 centimeters. It starts from the larynx and extends down into the chest. The wall of the trachea contains 16 to 20 C-shaped cartilage rings. These cartilage rings prevent the trachea from collapsing so that the airway always remains open. The shape of these rings is C-shaped because the esophagus lies right behind the trachea and needs space to expand. There is no cartilage on that back side, only a muscle called the trachealis muscle. The inner lining of the trachea also contains cilia and mucus, just like the nasal cavity. These continuously push dust and other harmful particles upward so they can be expelled out of the body through coughing. Inside the chest, the trachea divides into two branches called bronchi. There are a few important differences between the right main bronchus and the left main bronchus. Right main bronchus, it is more vertical, meaning it goes straight downward. Its angle from the trachea is approximately 25 degrees. It is shorter but wider than the left bronchus. For this reason, if a foreign object accidentally enters the airway, it usually lands in the right bronchus. Left main bronchus, it is more horizontal. Its angle from the trachea is approximately 45 degrees. It is longer than the right bronchus because it has to cross over the heart to reach the left lung. After entering their respective lungs, both primary bronchi divide into even smaller branches. In the right lung, it divides into 3 branches. Because the right lung has 3 lobes, these branches are called lobar bronchi or secondary bronchi. In the left lung, it divides into 2 branches because the left lung has only 2 lobes. These secondary bronchi then divide further to form segmental bronchi, also known as tertiary bronchi. The walls of the bronchi also contain cartilage, just like the trachea, which keeps them open. However, as the bronchi get smaller and smaller, the amount of cartilage decreases. Bronchioles. Segmental bronchi keep dividing repeatedly, and at a certain point, the cartilage completely disappears. Beyond this point, they are called bronchioles. The diameter of bronchioles is less than 1 millimeter. There is no cartilage at all in their walls, only smooth muscle. Because of this smooth muscle, bronchioles can contract or relax, meaning they can actively change their diameter. Bronchioles divide further down the line to form terminal bronchioles. The section up to the terminal bronchioles only conducts air, meaning it just passes the air forward, and no gas exchange happens here. This is why the entire section from the trachea to the terminal bronchioles is called the conducting zone. After the terminal bronchioles come the respiratory bronchioles. This is where the respiratory zone begins, meaning the actual process of gas exchange starts here. The walls of respiratory bronchioles contain a small number of alveoli. Respiratory bronchioles open into alveolar ducts, and these alveolar ducts lead to alveolar sacs, where clusters of alveoli are present. Alveoli. Alveoli are the most important and the most basic functional units of the respiratory system. This is where the actual gas exchange takes place. Alveoli are tiny, balloon-like structures. Their wall is made up of just a single layer of cells. This layer is called the alveolar epithelium. The thickness of this wall is so minimal that gases can easily pass through it. Around each alveolus, there is a dense network of capillaries, which are very thin blood vessels. The wall of the alveoli and the wall of these capillaries join together to form a very thin barrier called the blood-air barrier or respiratory membrane. Gas exchange happens directly across this membrane. The process of gas exchange occurs through diffusion, meaning gases move due to a difference in concentration. When oxygen-rich air enters the alveoli, oxygen moves from the alveoli into the capillaries because its concentration is lower in the blood. At the same exact time, carbon dioxide moves from the blood into the alveoli because its concentration is higher in the blood. This carbon dioxide is then expelled out of the body when we breathe out. The lungs of a healthy adult contain approximately 300 million alveoli. Their combined total surface area is approximately 70 square meters, which is roughly equal to the size of a badminton court. This massive surface area exists specifically so that the maximum amount of gas exchange can take place efficiently. Lungs. Now we come to the lungs, which are the most central and most important organs of this entire system. There are two lungs, the right lung and the left lung, and they are located in the chest cavity, meaning the thoracic cavity. Between both lungs, there is a space called the mediastinum, which contains the heart, trachea, and esophagus. Each lung has an inner surface called the mediastinal surface, and here there is a depression called the hilum. The hilum is the specific spot through which the bronchus, blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, and nerves enter and exit the lung. The upper pointed part of the lung that reaches up toward the collarbone is called the apex. The lower broad part of the lung that rests on the diaphragm is called the base. Difference between the right lung and left lung. The right lung is slightly larger and heavier than the left lung. The right lung is divided into three lobes: the upper lobe, middle lobe, and lower lobe. The lines separating these lobes are called fissures. There are two fissures in the right lung, the oblique fissure and the horizontal fissure. The left lung is divided into only two lobes, the upper lobe and lower lobe. Between them, there is only a single oblique fissure. The left lung is slightly smaller because the heart is tilted toward the left side in our chest, and the left lung provides space to accommodate it. Because of this space accommodation, there is a distinct indentation in the left lung called the cardiac notch. Each lung is covered by a double-layered membrane called the pleura. The inner layer that attaches directly to the surface of the lung is called the visceral pleura, and the outer layer is called the parietal pleura. Between these two layers, there is a narrow space called the pleural cavity. A fluid is present inside this cavity called the pleural fluid. This fluid serves two primary functions. 1. It reduces friction between the two layers so that the lungs can expand and contract smoothly while breathing. 2. It creates surface tension that holds the two layers closely together. Blood supply of the lungs. The lungs receive their blood supply from two distinct pathways. Pulmonary circulation. In this pathway, the pulmonary arteries bring deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. After gaseous exchange takes place inside the lungs, the pulmonary veins carry the freshly oxygenated blood back to the heart. Therefore, we can say that these blood vessels exist purely for gaseous exchange. Bronchial circulation. In this pathway, the bronchial arteries supply oxygen and nutrients directly to the structural tissues of the lung itself, meaning the bronchi, bronchioles, and pleura. These arteries branch off from the aorta and provide the systemic blood supply necessary to keep the lung tissues alive and working. Mechanics of breathing. Until now, we have looked at the pathway through which air travels and where gas exchange occurs. Now we will understand how the mechanics of breathing works. The entire process of breathing is based on a simple physical principle: pressure difference. Air always naturally moves from an area of higher pressure to an area of lower pressure. When the pressure inside the lungs drops lower than the atmospheric pressure outside, air rushes into the lungs. When the pressure inside the lungs becomes higher than the atmospheric pressure outside, air is pushed out. The primary organ responsible for creating this pressure difference is the diaphragm, which serves as the main respiratory muscle of the system. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity area. When it contracts, it flattens out, meaning it moves downward. When it relaxes, it moves back up into its natural dome shape,